Good evening and welcome to the programmatic part of the Chamber's annual meeting. I'm Dan Bates, President and CEO of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and I hope you have enjoyed the event so far with the great food and amazing networking. If you've not made a new contact tonight, then you're not working the room, but don't worry, the evening is not over yet, so there will still be plenty of time to do that. I want to take some time to recognize the Chamber's centennial sponsors, sustaining sponsors. These are the partners who support us to work with businesses and organizations to enable their success. Please hold your applause until the end because it's a big list. Our centennial sponsors are Butler Tech, City of Hamilton, First Financial Bank, Kettering Health Hamilton, Mercy Health Fairfield Hospital, Naratus Media, OneView, US Bank. Our platinum sponsors are Cox First Media, Fifth Third Bank, Molson Coors Beverage Company. Our gold sponsors are Alta Fiber, Community Design Alliance, Durana Hybrid Inc., ODW Logistics Inc., Porter Advertising, Primary Health Solutions, ServPro of West Hamilton and Oxford, ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America Inc., TechSolve Inc., TV Hamilton, Wilkes Insurance Agency. Our silver sponsors are Brown Dawson Flick Funeral Home, Hamilton Castor Manufacturing Company, Keitel Business Coaching, LCNB National Bank, Milliken and Fitton Law Firm, SHP, State Farm Insurance Barney Riesbeck, United Heartland Insurance. Thank you all for sponsoring us throughout the year. I also want to recognize our elected officials who have taken time out of their very busy schedules to join us this evening. Please stand as I call your name, and I ask that we hold our applause until the end. And I apologize in advance for anyone that we may have missed, but I think we have everyone on our list. Congressman Warren Davidson, State Representative Diane Mullins, Butler County Commissioner T.C. Rogers, Butler County Auditor Nancy Nix, Butler County Common Pleas Judge Jennifer McElfresh, Hamilton City Council members, Mayor Pat Moeller, Vice Mayor Eric Pullman, Carla Fier, Joel Lauer, Tim Knabb, Michael Ryan, Susan Vaughn. Fairfield Township Trustee here tonight is Michael Birding. Hamilton City School Board members, Dr. Joe Kopas and Dave Davison. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now I want to recognize our presenting sponsors specific to this event this evening. Our presenting sponsor and host, Spooky Nook Sports Champion Mill, and I want to invite Eric Gale, General Manager, to the podium for a welcome and some remarks.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Evening, everybody, and welcome to Champion Mill Convention Center. My name's Eric Gale. As Dan said, I'm the general manager here of Spooky Nook Sports in Ohio. I first want to take this opportunity to thank the banquet team, the catering team, the hotel team, the sales team, and the operation team that put this event on tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. So when our team met with Dan and Nancy to work on the menu for tonight, they requested a unique dessert. And to show support of one of our newest local businesses, we're excited to include a box of the Aglameses Brothers chocolates on the table for you all to enjoy. I hope that everyone is having a good time and is going to have a good time tonight. And my sincerest and warmest thank you, and enjoy yourselves. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. Our presenting sponsor, ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America, and I want to invite Danielle Lewis, Executive Assistant to the CEO, to the podium for her remarks.
Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Dan said, my name is Danny Lewis, and I am the Executive Assistant at ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America, and I am more than excited to be here tonight. Tonight, I am accompanied by a few members of my executive board, as long as also a few members of my senior leadership team. Actually, one of the members of my senior leadership team that is present here tonight is also an active board member on the Hamilton Chamber Board as well. So to say the least, all the Bilsteiners that are up front and center are extremely proud to be here. So on that same note, let's go ahead and talk about Bilstein. ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America is based in Hamilton, Ohio, and has been in operation since 1995. We specialize in manufacturing high-performance shock absorbers and suspension systems, which include passive dampers, semi-active dampers, and modules. The Hamilton campus includes a 420,000 square foot manufacturing facility, along with a state-of-the-art distribution center, an approving test rounds track, and a technical center. Bilstein of America primarily focuses on 3 business segments: original equipment, aftermarket, and our defense segment. When it comes to our OE customers, as I said, original equipment, we provide premium suspension for what includes what you guys may have already know: Ford, Tesla, Stellantis, Lucid, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and Nissan. When it comes to aftermarket, Bilstein caters to a wide range of vehicles, including passenger cars, SUVs, trucks, and motorsports applications. Stock replacement, tuning, and motorsports are just some of the reasons customers buy aftermarket shocks. We have a knack for catering to performance enthusiasts, off-road gearheads, and restoration projects. So when it comes to the third leg of the stool at Bilstein, we're talking about defense. Our dedicated defense team designs and builds shock absorbers for the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle, also known as JLTV, for Oshkosh Defense and AM General, as well as other Oshkosh Defense vehicles. At Bilstein, our vision is to be the regional market leader of premium suspension technology by leveraging customer relationships along with new market opportunities to excite our customers and provide the perfect driving experience. Globally, Bilstein employs around 4,600 employees, which 700 of those employees are located in Hamilton, all sharing a passion for driving dynamics. As a team, we understand that the driving experience of tomorrow matters more than the performance of yesterday, and that the next innovation always takes precedence over the last. This commitment drives our belief that we are shaping the future, past and present, of chassis engineering. So to wrap it all up, Bilstein is more than proud and will always be a proud supporter of Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Our presenting sponsor, Mercy Health Fairfield Hospital, and I want to invite Justin Kruger, president of the hospital, to the podium for his remarks.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. Lucky for you, when Dan came over to the table, he told me I had 2 options. I could either keep it short and sweet, or I had to begin to tap dance in front of the group. And I said, only if you're joining me, Dan. So I'm not going to be doing that this evening. It's truly an honor to be up here again as a presenting sponsor for this event. This is an exceptional business community and one that we are honored to serve at Mercy Health and the Fairfield Hospital. And it's just remarkable for us, a true privilege to be able to be here and celebrate the exceptional business community that is in Hamilton and to recognize some key individuals that made that a reality in 2024. So on behalf of Mercy Health, Fairfield Hospital, as well as our team of dedicated staff members, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And again, congratulations to tonight's winner. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Also, our presenting sponsor, Molson Coors, has asked me to read this statement on their behalf. The Molson Coors Beverage Company's Trenton Brewery was proudly provided stable, continuous employment to its workforce of 495 for 34 years. Beyond supporting its employees, the brewery is committed to making a positive impact on the surrounding communities and ensuring the production of top-quality products in a safe environment for everyone to enjoy. The Trenton Brewery has a portfolio of a variety of popular beers, including Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Miller Genuine Draft, all while maintaining a strong dedication to environmental sustainability, including the protection of the Great Miami Valley Buried Aquifer. Now, please join me in thanking all of our sponsors, Mercy Health Fairfield Hospital, Molson Coors Beverage Company, Spooky Nook Sports Champion Mill, and ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America. Thank you. And now our top sponsor for this evening is Telhio Credit Union. I want to invite Jamie Bella, Senior Vice President, Retail Banking, to the podium for her remarks.
Okay, so this is a really good-looking room, and before we even start, I failed in taking pictures for our marketing team, so we're gonna do a selfie. Are you guys okay with that? Okay, I love it. Okay. Wait, my arms aren't that long. Okay, ready? We're gonna have to like rotate the room. Yeah. Did I get this side? Not yet. Okay. Marketing will be pleased. As Dan said, my name is Jamie Bella. I'm the Senior Vice President of Retail Banking at Telhio. I first want to thank the Hamilton Chamber for hosting this event and allowing us to sponsor as the event sponsor again for the third year in a row. I also want to thank Spooky Nook. I would be remiss if I didn't speak on the profoundness of this moment for our credit union. Our credit union has been in this community since 1939. We have serviced generations of families that were Champion Paper Mill employees, and this lot sat vacant forever. And it is back, and it is vibrant, and Spooky Nook, thank you for revitalizing this space and continuing to allow us to service the families that grew from this lot right here. I also want to tell you thank you to the City of Hamilton, the entire business community. Telhio is proud to be your credit union. We are your local credit union. If you haven't come into one of our branches, please come check us out. Park Avenue has a really beautiful mural from the city arts team. It's really pretty. You should check it out. But we're so thankful to be here. We're thankful to be serving these generations of families, and we hope to continue to service you for many years. Have so much fun tonight. Thank you for being at this event. We look forward to it all year, and we can't wait to service you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Pete Abner, partner, Kirsch CPA Group, LLC, and our 2024 Chamber Board Chairman, and continuing in that role for 2025. Pete has been a huge advocate and supporter of this organization, and because of that, we asked him, and he agreed to serve another term. So we thought that it would be appropriate that he is armed and ready for that second term. So, we are presenting you with your own personalized gavel to keep our meetings going and keep us in line.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. I can do a lot of damage with this at the office. New tool. Good evening. We have a tiny bit of business to conduct, and that being the election of the new members of the Board of Trustees for the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. Those being elected tonight, please stand when I call your name, and if we could hold our applause until the vote is complete, I would appreciate it. Pursuant to the bylaws, the nominating committee has filed its report for the trustees, which is included in your program. The trustees being elected for a 3-year term are Mike Brammer, Great Miami Valley YMCA; Melinda Hanna, Edward Jones; Jeff Judd, First Financial Bank; Anthony Seppi, Alloy Development Company; Sarah Templeton Wilson, Pyramid Hill Sculpture Park and Museum, Ron Whitaker, United Heartland Insurance Agencies. May I have a motion to elect this slate of trustees? A second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing no opposition, I welcome these newly elected members to the Board of Trustees for the Chamber. The nominating committee has also appointed members to a one-year term on the Board of Trustees. Please join me in welcoming the following newly appointed members. And again, hold your applause to the end. Kelvin Moss, Marshall High School. Naftali Roblero, El Gran Valley Verde. Cinnamon Trocan, Parish Markham and Trocan. Patrick Wright, Serve Pro of East Central Cincinnati and Serve Pro of West Hamilton. Please welcome them to the board for 2025. I would also like to introduce the officers for 2025. Please stand when your name's called. You're stuck with me again. Pete Abner, Kirsch CPA Group Chair. Ed Larkin, Rose Automotive Group. Jeff Judd, First Financial Bank. Andy Schuster, Matandy Steel and Metal Products, Treasurer. And Cinnamon Trocan, Parish Mark and Trocan, past chair. Now, if I could have the entire board stand and be recognized. I would also like to take a moment to recognize and thank the outgoing trustees for their dedicated service. Brett Kirkpatrick, Community First Solutions. Tommy Long, Lemon Grenade Creative. Mark Messerschmidt, Molson Coors Beverage Company. Liz Moore, Mercy Health. Chris Motley, and Candace White, Premier Party Professionals. Thank you all for your contributions and commitment to the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. I kind of want to, pound this, but I won't. There we go. Meeting adjourned. Okay. All right. As I reflect on the names of those joining the Chamber Board tonight and those who have wrapped up their service for this great organization, and as I reflect on the contributions of the two individuals we are honoring tonight, David Stark, Citizen of the Year, and Kirsten Spicer, Business Person of the Year, and as I look out at all of you, I'm reminded I don't like public speaking, so I'm sorry. No, I'm reminded of this awesome community full of individuals and businesses that work to make a difference, work together to make a difference. It is this collaboration that truly makes Hamilton a great place to live, work, and play. At the heart of much of this collaboration is your chamber team, leading and organizing groups and activities to promote the business community. Two of these groups, like the HR Roundtable and the Manufacturers Focus Group, are just a couple of those groups, and I emphasize a couple. The activities the chamber is involved in to promote collaboration within the business community is tremendous. I truly encourage all of you to reach out to your chamber team and learn more about the groups that they put together to promote collaboration. We truly do have a chamber team that is unlike any other, and I'm confident that's why all of you are here tonight. So, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize your chamber team for their efforts and their impact they have on all of us. Please stand when I call your name. Interns, Nate Lawrence and Sydney Feenstra. I know I saw Nate here. There he is. All right. Jeff Archibald, Communications Strategist for the Hamilton Vision Commission. Nancy O'Neill, Director of Events, like this fine one tonight, and Leadership Hamilton. Laura Merrill, IT Coordinator and Jack of all trades. Jason Michael Miller, Director of Membership and Engagement. Sounds like he's pretty engaging. Tiffany Grubb, our Director of Marketing. And last but not least, your CEO, Dan Bates. This is a small but mighty team that plays a vital role in the Hamilton community. I sincerely thank all of you for all that you do. Now, I need to make an apology. I need to apologize to all of the local restaurants, breweries, and bars. I didn't get my belly from drinking beer. I got it from my insatiable sweet tooth. Now, you might say that's a weird thing for him to stand up there and say, and you're right, it is. But I think it's going to point to my excitement to introduce a newer member of our community and our keynote speaker tonight, Randy Young with Aglamesis Brothers Ice Cream and Chocolates. Randy is the stepson of James Aglamesis, the oldest son of Aglamesis Brothers founder, Thomas. Randy joined the family business in 1976 after graduating from The Ohio State University with a degree in music education. His journey with the business began at the age of 10 when his stepdad invited him to help out in the ice cream and candy store. I don't believe it took much convincing for Randy to eagerly accept that offer, as any child would. Throughout his school years, Randy continued to assist in the business, gravitating towards the back of house where products were made. This creative aspect of the business captivated him. Alongside his passion for business, Randy pursued his love for music, playing professionally for 10 years after graduating while maintaining his day job. In 1991, Randy left the business to pursue an opportunity in Dayton and later started his own ice cream and candy store. He returned to the family business in 1986, working both in Dayton and in Cincinnati until the Dayton operation closed in 1994. It is with much excitement that in the latter half of 2024, Randy and his team opened a new location here in Hamilton on the corner of D Street and Main Street. So tonight, please welcome Randy Young with Aglamesis Brothers Ice Cream and Chocolates.
How was it good? Yeah.
Mercy sakes. I'm an ice cream candy maker, and I got invited to speak to this group. Oh my word. I'm flabbergasted and honored and so delighted to be here. And when Dan asked me last October if I would consider doing so, I said yes. And then I started asking myself, well, what am I going to talk about? I guess I should have done that in reverse before I said yes. But one of my principles of life has been to stay within myself, stay within my core principles and values, and speak about those things that I know something about. So I'm going to talk about Aglamesis Brothers. And what would that have that would be of interest to you? Well, I'm sure in this group, there are many of you who have family businesses, multi-generational family businesses, perhaps even many of you who have multi-generational family businesses that started with immigrants coming over in the beginning of the 20th century, or perhaps even earlier. So I'm going to talk about that aspect of my business and see how it relates to you, and maybe you'll share some of those memories of your own businesses, and if you don't have that memory, you'll learn a little something about some small slice of American history that isn't always taught in the history books. Now, I understand that you all have had some wonderful food out there, some wonderful beverages, and you're going to be suffering from some food coma. I get it. So we see you nodding a little bit. We're going to ask some wonderful people from on the other side to come in here with spoons of that horseradish sauce. Yeah, that should do the trick. Oh, I saw all these people walking around with tears coming out of their eyes. I said, what's wrong? It's the horseradish sauce. It's good. Oh, okay, I get it. So let's begin. I'm going to see if I can work this clicker. I don't have a monitor, so I'm going to be looking at the screens with you. And Nancy asked me on Tuesday, she said, you got the presentation, can you send it to us? And, so we can get it set up. I said, I think I'm putting the final touches on it. And then I gave it to my admin, Andrea Hurd, and she came back into the office about 15 minutes later and said, you're not done. We've got some typos to take care of, and all I had was black and white lettering, and that was it. So she's done some stuff to it, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. So let's discover together. Okay. There we go. And live life sweetly is our motto, and this is us now with our wonderful Hamilton store on the left there, our Montgomery store in the middle, and our Oakley store on the right. And that is our mission statement. We provide quality product and sincere service to enrich the lives of our customers. We live that every day. That is something that is ingrained in our DNA. And I think after 117 years, we're doing something right. Okay, it all started back in 1902. Thomas Aglamesis, age 17, living in a small town of Kosmos, Greece, which is southeast of Sparta by about 30 miles up in the hillsides. Small cottage up there. They had goats. He had a brother and 5 sisters. Back in the day, and some of you might have stories like this in your family, that to have 5 sisters, the only way they're getting married is to have a dowry. There was no way raising goats they were going to be able to have a dowry for the sisters. So Thomas came to America. He came over in 1902. If you imagine a 17-year-old Greek boy being sponsored by another Greek family who are already here, and I don't know the name of that family. I wish I did. It was lost in our history. But he was sponsored, and he came over. He caught a steamer on the Aegean side of Greece, just a little bit to the east of Sparta. So if you can imagine, this was not a 4 or 5 day journey. This was a 4 or 5 week journey for a 17-year-old boy with nothing but what's in his knapsack on his back to come over. You can imagine him leaning over the iron rail of this steamer, coming through the Aegean Sea into the Mediterranean Sea, past the Straits of Gibraltar, probably stopping several times in other cities along the way to pick up and drop off passengers, many of whom were headed to the New World, that promised land, that place of America, where the streets, of course, were lined with gold, and it was that wonderful place of opportunity. That was his dream to be able to send money back to his family so his sisters could get married. I'm having a hard time reading that sign myself. Okay, and 2 years later, in 1904, Nicholas, his younger brother, 2 years younger, came over, and they both worked. There they are. Thomas, my stepdad's father, is on the right. Nicholas, the younger brother, is on the left. They worked in the old Penny Arcade downtown Cincinnati. It's where the Carew Tower is currently. And they learned the craft. Now, a part of that American history I talked about earlier that isn't always written is what did that really entail when you were coming over as a sponsored European immigrant, especially a child. Well, it meant that for all practical purposes, and I'm not going to sweeten it, if you'll pardon the pun, it was indentured service. You were coming over as free labor. That's how it was. Pure, plain, and simple. Businesses grew by bringing in other immigrants who would work for free. We heard stories around the dinner table when I was growing up from Dad, talking about the stories his father told him. He and his brother going to the boss on Friday, and the boss saying, sorry, I can't pay you. Don't have any money. I gambled it last night, lost it. I'll try to pay you next week. That's how it was. But they worked hard. They worked like dogs. Oftentimes sleeping in people's houses in the basement, trying to eke out a living. Whoop, did I go backwards? There we go. They were able to scrape up enough money to start their own business in 1908. Now let's think about this for a minute. Starting a business in 1908, what would that be like? Well, there wasn't much in the way of government regulation, we know that. They would have been, let's see, Thomas would have been about 23 years old. Nicholas would have been about 21 years old. They had to go to a bank. The story was that Thomas and Nicholas went to, I believe it was the Fifth National Bank, which merged with Third National Bank to become Fifth Third. I can't tell you the year of it, but they sat across from the banker and told them they had learned the craft of making candies and they wanted to open up their own shop. And they explained it, and they brought some pieces for the banker to sample, and the banker said, okay. And the deal was struck with a handshake. No papers, nothing. It was a handshake. Yep. So they built a shop in Norwood, Ohio in 1908, and there's a debate in the family as to which did they get started making first. Was it ice creams or was it candies? Because we know it was one or the other, and I'm leaning towards it was probably candies because the name of their first shop was the Metropolitan Confectionery Company. And it was located on Montgomery Road, very near where the site of the Surrey Hill Shopping Center is on Montgomery, right in downtown Norwood. My goodness, that's small. Okay, Ellis Island, and they come over, and they heard, I might as well just tell the history from my memory. I know it. I wrote the dumb thing, so, okay, what the heck. In about 1912, they heard that some guy by the name of Geyer owned a machine shop. He was going to open up a larger machine shop in Oakley. Oakley at that time was just a horse and trolley community, a couple of buildings, mostly cornfields around, nothing there. And there was already a few bits of industry in the Norwood area, and this guy was going to open a machine shop down the street on Madison Road. And maybe that would create some jobs. Maybe we should have a second shop. Okay, they opened a second shop in 1913. And as it turned out, that machine shop became Cincinnati Millicron. And along with Cincinnati Millicron and the Geyer family came Williamson Heating and Air Conditioning Manufacturing and a host of other large manufacturers that located in the Norwood and Oakley area. And, hello. Okay. So, voices from above. So, this approximately is what Oakley looked like at that time. Horse-drawn carriages, trolleys. That was the day. And this is the Oakley shop in 1913. Now today, we talk a lot about how difficult the business environment is. It's tough to own and operate a business. We all know that in this room. It's always been tough. And I alluded earlier as to how the Aglamesis brothers started their business with a handshake with a banker, and there was very little of any government regulations. But they opened this in 1913. Anybody in here astrophysicists or astronomers? Anybody know what took place in 1913? Tunguska? Anybody know what that is? This little old ice ball from space crashed into the Siberian forest and leveled 800 square miles of Siberian old-growth forest. If that had happened today, in today's world, it would shut down the global economy because we would have known it was coming. They didn't know it was coming, and they didn't. Most of the United States didn't hear about it for weeks. That's just because it was out in this remote area of Siberia. But the very next year in 1914, what happened? World War I. That's right. Bingo. So now they've got two shops. They're operating two shops still, one in Norwood, one in Oakley, and World War I comes. They're both over here on a visa status, but their government says they have to go back and fight in the war. How are you going to do that? Well, Thomas ended up going back. Nicholas stayed. I don't know if it was from his age or if he had a medical issue. I don't know. But Thomas had to go back, and he had to fight in the war, which left Nicholas home to take care of two businesses, plus all the people that were working for them at that time. Not easy to do. Thomas comes back in about 1917, and he has with him a wife. He went over and met his wife, Viola, and the Greek word for a grandmother is yaya. So for me, she was yaya. When I knew her, she spoke very little English. And so anytime I was with her, my Uncle Peter, Dad's younger brother, would interpret. And she loved telling the story about Thomas coming to her little cottage in Kosmos and introducing himself. And this was all arranged, right? They're not dating, or this is an arranged marriage. That's how it was. And she says, Thomas came in and he shook hands with her father and said, I want to go to the restroom. Okay. He goes to the restroom, comes back out, smiles, okay, and later tells her that he only married her because she had a clean restroom. Okay, you will know how to keep a house, you have a clean restroom, this is going to work. So over they came. And here you see Thomas is holding my Uncle Peter in his hands. Dad is the little boy that Nicholas has his hands on his shoulder, and my Aunt Mary is the little girl with the hat. There are two other brothers there whose names I don't know. And that's the inside of the shop. That's a 24-foot long marble soda fountain on the right and a 26-foot long marble trimmed candy case. Both are still in the shop in Oakley today, along with those same paddle fans. 1920 and 1950, we had the growth of the stores. In 1918, they sold the shop and sold it to some employees who were working at the Norwich store. They kept the name Metropolitan, and Thomas and Nicholas changed the name to Aglamesis Brothers at the Oakley store. They also built a building out back behind the Oakley store, the plant, in 1921. And that at that time was one of the most modern dairy plants that you would find. It was also about that time that small commercial operators could find compressors, ammonia compressors for refrigeration. Of course, Cincinnati was a meat packing center, and all the big boys had them, but small operators couldn't. So before this time, all the ice cream was made using ice and rock salt, being churned by hand. So they wanted to modernize, and they built the plant. The Roaring Twenties. Yeah, they were roaring all right, along with a world war that was going on, World War I. And we started having cars on Madison Road. The Great Depression then hits at the end of the 20s into the 30s. Then we hit World War II. What kind of business environments were those? A little tough, a little tough. And Oakley is growing. Right there, in the middle there, you can see a Sears and Roebuck on the end. In the middle, that middle shop, I don't have a picture of it, but that was one of the first Kroger stores in Cincinnati, right next to our Oakley shop. Thomas has a debilitating stroke about in 1954, and Nicholas passed that same year. I'm sorry, 1952, Thomas had a stroke, and Nicholas passed. Thomas' son James, my stepdad, comes back from serving in the Army during the Korean conflict. He did not go overseas. He was an instructor in material supply, and he came back. Here's another part of the story of Americana. Dad, from the age of 8, about the time you saw him as a little boy there in that picture, had to work in the family business. There was no choice. He went to kindergarten not knowing how to speak English. He would learn at school and come home and teach his little brother and sister. Thomas, education was not mandatory in his mind. You had to work the business. That's what made the business successful, having a family as your labor. Had to happen. So when Dad came back from serving in the Army, he had no intention, no desire to be part of the business. He was going to head out. But, as you saw, Thomas had a debilitating stroke. Nicholas passed. Dad's the oldest son. Guess what? Guess what's required? So he takes it on. It's in debt. Why is it in debt? Because Thomas and Nicholas were sending all that money back to Greece. We believe that from 1908 to 1950, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $80,000 to $90,000 they sent back. Their sisters did very well. That's Dad in his college years, I believe. 1961, Thomas passes, and in 1963, he meets my mother, Jane Young. Now, where did we come from? Well, I grew up in Terrace Park, Ohio, just northeast of Cincinnati. Dad, my blood father, was an alcoholic. Mom divorced him when I was about 6 years old. We went down the street, 5 doors down, to live in the attic of my grandparents. And one would say, oh, that was tough times. No, it was the golden years of my life. I got to live with my grandparents in a multi-generational household where I learned and was formed by so many principles that I'm so grateful for today. And in my family, there was a mantra, part of our family culture that was handed down from my great-grandmother on my mother's side. Whenever any of my grandmother or my mother would see any of us kids walking around having our little pity party, self-pity party, they would look at us sternly and say, oh, poor Randy. Nobody loves him and his hands are cold. Well, listen, Buster, God loves you and you can sit on your hands. Now, that wasn't meant to be cruel, but it was a lesson in life that formed me, saying that, yes, God does love me, and with his power I can do almost anything, and I also can take care of my own problems. And that stuck with me. 1965, my little sister, the joy of my life, Diane, comes in. And Dad now is operating the Oakley store, trying to make it profitable. He's now got a growing family. He inherited 3 kids, and now he has a 4th. Got to grow the business. So there we are in 1950s. Some of these slides are out of order. Sorry about that. Okay. In 1966, Dad renovates the Oakley store. He and Mom had gone down to New Orleans, and he was in love with the wrought iron motifs and the intimacy of the buildings and the small streets down there. And here's the shop. As I remember, I'm one of the last people in my family who actually was in this shop as you see it on the screen. I remember the soot on the front facade there from all the diesel buses and trolleys that went by, and the green canopy that is rolled up there. And he transformed it into this. A little bit of a transformation. There we go. And there's the inside as it was originally, and there it is as it looks today. We still have the Tiffany lamps on the soda fountain there. We think they're Tiffany. Tiffany had a workshop in Cincinnati. I have taken those lamps apart. I can't find a label, but it's in the style, and those are all hand soldered pieces to put together in that solid marble base. So certainly a Tiffany style lamp. But we kept the flavor and the look and feel of an old-fashioned ice cream shop. Let's see, I need to point this in this direction. Whoop. Wrong button, there we go. Dad still needed to grow the business, so in 1970, he opened the Montgomery Square Shopping Center. And there we are. And we still kept the look and feel on the inside with the marble soda fountain. Don't have Tiffany lamps, but we do have the canopy in the back and marble tables, tile floor, still the look and feel. Now, Dad had lived upstairs all his life. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was physically born upstairs above the ice cream parlor. And He knew when I came into the business as a little boy, I was sitting in the back room, in the back kitchen at a marble table and watched Florence Hollerman hand dip chocolates, and that's how I learned how to dip chocolates. And he lived upstairs. That's when I would go up and see Yaya, and she would fix me lunch. But we had to grow. Florence Hollerman could not keep up hand dipping for 2 different stores. So he renovated the upstairs 3-bedroom apartment into a little dipping operation. And that's literally in Dad's bedroom, where you see that. There's a fireplace on the right-hand side, and there's a hole punched through that door going into Yaya's kitchen. There was my first office. That's a dining room table sitting in what was the living room. And yes, that's an old CRT computer. And enter me. In 1976, I graduated. Yes, I did get started when I was about 10 years old, and as I was introduced, it didn't take a whole lot of arm twisting to get a 10-year-old boy to work in an ice cream candy shop. Come on, let's be real. And there I am in all my glory with Dad back there making ice cream, which is, again, where I gravitated. I loved making the stuff. That was where my passion grew. 1981, it was announced, I was 1991. That was a typo on my part. 1981, I left the business. Let's discuss this a little bit. What's it like to be a quasi-oldest son and leave your family business? Not good. Not a good idea. But for 5 years, it was very apparent that we had a clash of cultures. Dad was Greek, I was not. Pure, plain, and simple. Dad was a do as I tell you, this is how I was told, and it's been successful, don't change anything. I was a why? Why do it this way? If I don't know the whys, then when there's a problem, I can't fix it. Don't ask me questions, just do it this way. Okay, 5 years of that, and it was time for me to strike out on my own. I went up to Dayton to start my own business. Let's see if I can see. Okay, in 1976, the theaters, Oakley was in a decline period. What's the bottom one say? I start my own business in 1983. In 1986, I get a call from Mom. Now, remember the Thanksgiving dinner that year when I left, he was doing what you would expect. Jane, would you ask your son to please pass the mashed potatoes? He would not call me by name. That was just part of it. I understood. But he was in trouble. Mom calls, say, hey, can you help your dad out? So, absolutely. And I started working both businesses. In 1994, I closed my business. Diane, my youngest sister, comes from, she was working for Arthur Anderson at the time down in Jacksonville, Florida, and she joins the business. And there we are, the Three Musketeers. Looks wonderful. And from 1998 through 2016, there we were, working the business, the three of us, muddling through. Was it great? No. Three entirely different people, three entirely different philosophies on what the business should be doing, and nothing was getting done. We muddled along, just muddled along. Still providing the very best products and services that we knew how, but we weren't going anywhere. Just weren't going anywhere at all. Oh, what's to say? Oh, I bring in a family consultant in 2016, Cindy Weininger. After 6 months of working with us, she sat me down and said, Randy, nothing's going to happen until your sister and your father are out of the business. It's just not going to go anywhere. You'll be lucky if you can stay alive. In 1916, I went to Dad and said, Dad, I love you dearly. One of us is going to retire this August. He decided at that point, well, maybe he would make me president. Diane and I were already struggling, working to run the business around him. If you remember the character Gustavos in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, put him on steroids that he had some idea of what Dad was like. It was his show. It was his show, his way. His finger was in everything. The business was James-centric, period, which is how he survived. I completely understand that and respect it. Here we are again a few years later, and in 2016 also, our Oakley store manager left us, and this was just before the Christmas season, which is a huge time in our business. I was in trouble, so I called my youngest daughter, Christy. She and I had talked about whether or not she would be interested in coming into business. Again, I did the same for my daughters as my dad did for me. I never forced them to work in the business. They were invited. They both worked in the business in high school and college, periodically, just having some fun. And Christy said yes. She was at that time working for Toyota in northern Kentucky, and they were getting ready to move their offices to Plano, Texas, and she and her husband didn't want to go to Plano, Texas, so she joined up and literally had a baptism in fire. And there they are, a fourth generation. I developed a board of advisors to try to help move the business, to be that mediator between myself and Diane and Dad. We struggled mightily. It was a tough slog. Finally, Dad retires in 2019, excuse me. Hard for me to see. And in October 2018, I buy a 7,000 square foot warehouse in downtown Cincinnati, knowing that we were at some point going to have to expand our operations. We have been operating the business for 20 years, turning down business. Dad would literally tell the staff on the weekends, don't answer the phone. He would tell us when an order came in, they want 600 boxes, we can't do it. Just don't do it. And of course, Diane and I would say, okay, we're going to do it anyway. This is what the upstairs looked like. On the upper left-hand quadrant, that's Yaya's kitchen. That's her kitchen table that my staff is there packing chocolates off of the racks. At that time, that little coating machine that you saw in the earlier picture would coat the chocolates and deposit them on wax rolling paper that was sliced and put on trays on those racks. They would cool, and the staff would pack them. And where my office was, that's up in the upper right-hand quadrant, that's became a packing room. And the bottom two pictures are what the place looked like, filled with boxes for shipping. It was crowded. Okay, so 2020, that was one of the reasons that I did not build out the plant downtown Cincinnati was, one, Dad and Diane were not on board with it, and in 2020, what happened? Again, an interesting business environment. So I had to hold off. What did 2020 do to my business? We were off 30%. We never closed, except for 3 weeks. We were closed for 3 weeks after Easter. We kept all of our staff, did not lay anyone off. We just simply, during that time, had deferred maintenance. We then opened back up for 6 hours a day and struggled through. It was a tough year for all of us. Christmas time, by the way, upstairs in that dining room, that was our shipping area. We realized we doubled our shipping orders for that Christmas. Everybody was buying online. By 1922, all operations are coming back. We're getting back on our feet back on the ground. In 2022, Diane retires. Now what? It's Christy and I. Well, we looked at each other and said, what do we want to do? We can do anything we want now. So it was time to get busy, and get busy we did. We had 4 main projects in 2023. One was to build out the plant down in Cincinnati. We brought in one of our board members who was a branding company to rebrand our packaging. We renovated the front facade of the Oakley store. It was falling apart. It had been 50 some odd years since Dad had had done that. And we also were registering with Fairtrade USA Cocoa to be certified as a producer, someone that uses Fairtrade cocoa. 4 major projects for 2023. There's the warehouse. Not real pretty. You got to have imagination. And we start transforming it into a candy factory. And there's the outside. And there's the inside. There's our first staff. We opened it in, our first day of operation downtown was in September of 2023, which means we were just ready in time for the Christmas season. We didn't know where we were putting things. We didn't even know how to operate in this place. We were trying to learn a brand new enrobing machine that was now, instead of 19 feet long, was now 55 feet long. Instead of 7 inches wide, it was 16-inch wide belt. We were still trying to figure out how to operate, but we managed to get through. We took the front, started renovating it, and transformed it to this. Project number 2. Project number 3, taking our old packaging and developing it into this, evolving into this, still paying homage to the old style. And we did successfully become Fairtrade certified. Okay, that was a busy 2023. Whew, enough. Let's just take 2024 and just kind of get settled in. Let's figure out what we're doing. Let's take what we've got and make it better, okay? 24 business plan was just to relax. Let's just get comfortable with all of this. But then the phone rings. The city of Hamilton called. You all called. Yes. So, it was actually an email I got. I believe pardon me for stuttering. I want to get the title right. He was, at that time, Assistant City Manager Tim Weirdman. Did I get that right? And his wife knew my sister, and there were some exchanges, and he sent me an email, and I called him, and he invited me up. And up we came. Christy and I looked at each other and said, we're not really interested. Again, we just want to settle in. This was what they proposed to us. And there it was. That was the inside. So I came up. I spent 8 weeks researching. Boy, did I research. I came up in the evening time, walked the streets. I spent 6 weeks trying to talk myself out of it because I was exhausted from 2023 and I ran out of excuses. You all did such a wonderful job of telling us the story of Hamilton. You all did such a wonderful job of inviting us and making us feel so welcome. People like Josh Smith and Laura Nelson, they worked feverishly with us, working through every challenge we've come up with. And finally we said, we got to do this. So we opened on October 10th, just in time for the Pumpkin Festival, there at our new location. And there we are. But some things never change. Lots of changes in our business, but some things we don't change. Remember when I said about sticking to your core principles, your core values? We still make the candies and the ice creams the way that Thomas and Nicholas did in 1908, using fresh butter, sugar, cooking in copper kettles, hand stirring with a wooden paddle. We still do that today. Or making things in small batches, flavored with the best flavors that we can come up with on God's green earth. Still pouring hot chocolates. This is almond toffee, butter almond toffee being poured on a marble slab. to produce what we hope are the finest chocolates in the world. I've traveled the world. I've tasted chocolates from all over. And people ask me, well, what's the best chocolates in the world? I said, whatever's in your mouth at the time, that's the best chocolate in the world, okay? There's our ice cream vat. That's 200 gallons of ice cream mix. Everybody asks me my recipe. It's simple. It's a very simple recipe. It's cream, milk, sugar, evaporate milk, sugar, eggs, honey, and a dash of gelatin. My recipe is the proportions of those ingredients. I'm going to keep that to myself, but those are the ingredients, and it's our philosophy that if a fifth grader cannot read your ingredient label, it's probably not a good ice cream. That's my feeling. Somebody was commenting this evening, they love the banana ice cream. How did we make it? What's our secret? I said, well, it's called bananas. Fresh fruits, pure extracts. We still do it the way we always have and will not change. Ice cream made in small 10-gallon batches at a time. How do you make chocolate chips? Well, you take that same superlative dark chocolate that you have been eating out of the boxes tonight in liquid form. When it's warmed up, pour it onto the cold ice cream, hand stir it, and you get chocolate chunks. That's the secret. And we make a few flavors. Now, over the years, we have been tempted by all kinds of fads and trends. In the 1950s and 40s, you had soft serve Dairy Whip places. In the 1980s, you had frozen custard, frozen yogurt. Nowadays, you have all kinds of fancy flavors and whatnot. And we stay true to our core values. We think that the flavors we make, we want to make them the very best we can and not get beyond ourselves and get too fancy. The city of Hamilton, Aglamisa share some commonalities. We have had a recent renaissance. You all have had a recent renaissance. And we both share the same principles of staying with our core values. You all have kept with your core values. You know what makes this community wonderful. And you shared that with us and made it compelling for us to be a part of this. And we're so delighted to be with you. And change is inevitable. So go with it. Make the changes necessary while keeping your core values. And it's all about people. For Aglamisa's Brothers, and I believe Hamilton, it's all about the people. That's what makes this work. And that's my story. I'm going to stick with it. Okay. Thank you. I don't know, do I have time for a question or two? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy, for sharing Agamisa's journey and your investment in our community. Thank you. When we heard the story originally, we thought it was an amazing story, and we wanted to be able to share it all with you tonight. So now is the time to recognize a small business person who deserves special recognition for their efforts in running and growing a successful operation that stands out above the norm. Before we recognize this year's deserving winner, I want to introduce past recipients of this high honor. Please stand to be recognized as I call your name and hold your applause. Neil Cohen, Dave Lippert, Ed Larkin, Sarah Vallandingham, John Kirsch, Tommy Long, Andy Schuster, and Roland Lutz. We have a very special guest tonight who's going to introduce this year's Small Business Person of the Year, Congressman Warren Davidson. Would you please approach the podium? Welcome, Warren Davidson.
Thank you so much. What an honor to join you all and celebrate. And just, wow, what an amazing amount of energy we're seeing here in Hamilton. And a great night. Thanks for having me join you tonight. And I want to say thank you for celebrating and recognizing people who have made such a contribution to our community. It was great to see the previous recipients and you will no doubt be excited about Kirsten Spicer. She was born and raised in Middletown, Ohio, and she is this year's recipient. She's the youngest of 3 sisters. She graduated from Middletown High School and then attended Miami University. She was one of the first graduating classes from the Chemical Technology program at Miami and graduated summa cum laude in 1998. Her love for cooking began with her mama, who was always in the kitchen with, quote, Boo, as she affectionately called Kirsten. She was whipping up something delicious from scratch all the time, and during college, Kirsten began working for a catering company, and the rest is history. She opened 2 Women in a Kitchen in 1998 and incorporated in 2000. She's been delivering delicious food ever since. Many of us have been fortunate to enjoy this delicious food. Many of the events I've gone to, if they're catered, they're catering them, and it's delicious. If you haven't tried it, you got to. But she has successfully moved her business from Miller Coors to the Coach House to leasing her own independent kitchen in Hamilton on Millview Avenue. Her staff has grown from 6 employees in 1998, which is a pretty quick start, frankly, to 30-plus employees currently, some of whom have been with her for over 20 years. Says a lot about the kind of environment and culture. She's continually invested and upgraded in equipment for her business, and she's got a new walk-in cooler next on our list. Great time to invest. Through business restructuring and becoming one woman in a kitchen to successfully navigating COVID in an industry that clearly got decimated by it, Kirsten's drive, determination, and resourcefulness has kept her company going and growing. She has proven herself to be a highly effective manager and problem solver and uncompromising in her ethical and moral beliefs in her business practices. She stays true to her altruistic flair and many times bringing forth a vision that her clients never envisioned but always enjoy. Kirsten is involved with many businesses and organizations in the community and has developed long-standing relationships with many of her clients. She's made financial and time donations to HYPE, Booker T. Washington Community Center, the YWCA, the YMCA, the Fitness Center of Creative Arts, Hamilton County, the Hamilton Community Foundation, Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, Miami University, Friends Church, just to name a few. If business or individuals truly has a need, she is always helpful. Offers her time or services or a donation to help people benefit from that. In addition to this, Kirsten is the first one there if a family member or friend needs anything at all. She's a pet sitter, a child watcher, an advisor who will be honest with you regardless of her counsel being what you want to hear or not, straight shooter. In her time off, you will find Kirsten at a concert, traveling the world with friends while sampling local cuisine or hanging out with her beloved dogs. She's also been known to still enjoy a can of SpaghettiOs while watching reality TV. So please turn your attention to the screen for a short video about Kirsten.
So I nominated her because I really feel like she deserved this award because of everything that she does in the community.
As an entrepreneur, she's a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse of desire and ability and tenacity.
I've known her for over 20 years and been the same person for 20 years. And I think just the dedication to her craft and the service to the customers is impeccable. And so that's why I think she's deserving.
And she just provides from scratch the most quality food. It's not like catering food is what I tell everybody. At a price that's just unbelievable.
The food itself is spectacular in the sense that it really can be from A to Z. It can be hamburgers and hot dogs to, fillets and salmons and everything else in between. And I can honestly say I've had her food probably hundreds of times, and I've never had a bad meal.
She takes immense pride in the presentation. Any little thing she can do to elevate that for the client, she will do. It's all out or it is not at all. And that's just the way she is.
Kirsten and her team take a lot of time and care in their presentation. For instance, our Fit and Family Fridays, we might have a dinosaur show and there will be plastic dinosaurs on the table tearing the trays apart. When we did Cat in the Hat for Fit and Family Fridays, they made these little hats with marshmallows and little circles around it. They don't come out of a jar. They made every one of them.
I've seen her realize at the last minute that somebody doesn't have nice enough centerpieces, and she'll send somebody home to get some.
Kirsten and the two women in the kitchen team have been and continue to be incredibly generous. They have been to the Fitness Center for many, many years, but you see it all the way through the community. There's lots of fundraising events, there's lots of gatherings, and they've been there to take care of all of us.
She is involved in so many organizations, Inspo Studios, Hype, The Y, The Fitten, a lot of nonprofit organizations which have budgetary restrictions. And I have never seen her not be able to meet that budget and work with those individuals who sometimes don't have, because they are a nonprofit, the budget that someone would have.
It's amazing how they have grown, because it used to just be the two of them, which is where the name came from. And to go from 2 people to 30 employees is very impressive. And people tend to stay with her. She provides employment for 30 people. That's a big deal.
When you run a successful business, you have to do it because you care. And I know she cares.
They care. They care about the food they serve, they care how they serve it, and they really do care about their clientele.
If she's involved in that event, she wants the entire event to be, top notch.
I wish that she had the belief in herself that other people have in her. And I hope that getting this recognition in some way helps her see that people do realize how amazing she is, that people do appreciate her. I'd like her for once to realize that what she does here in Hamilton is appreciated. And so that's what I'd like people to know about her.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your congratulations of our well-deserving 2024 Small Business Person of the Year.
Well, I was okay until my sister started crying. So, Roland, thank you for announcing coming for you next year. Thank you so much. Kirsten Spicer, Two Women in a Kitchen. I hate public speaking, so I'm going to do this as quickly as possible with as least amount of mistakes as possible, which is funny because that's not going to happen. Honestly, I'm really speechless, but I have a microphone, so I'm going to go with it. First of all, I do want to say I'm incredibly humbled and grateful. I can't believe I'm standing here today accepting an award for Small Business of the Year. I had no idea that my staff, my sister nominated me, and I was sick when they told me, because I'm not an in front of the house kind of girl. I'm definitely in the back. And then that way you don't see how frustrated and angry I get at people, but I'm very passionate is what I try to say. So that's all it is, just a little bit of passion here. But I do want to say this would not have been possible without the incredible, amazing support from so many people in the community and in this room. Looking around, honestly, I think I've worked with almost everyone, and it has afforded me an incredible opportunity to build relationships and friendships and create family out of clients. It's not a normal business that we're in. My clients have invited us into their homes. We get to spend the most wonderful moments to the worst moments of their lives with them, and that creates a whole different bond. And I can't say thank you enough for that support. The trust and loyalty over the years that our clients have given us, that they have shown in us, I can't even take it, I never want to take it for granted, but sometimes you do fall into that because, again, it's family. It's not just clients and business. So hard to be up here. I'm so stunned, and I'm so excited because my staff, I am so lucky, honestly. I do have some incredible staff. I have staff that has been with me, like, again, forever. Zachary, Kat, Jess, endless hours in the kitchen, Nikki, Terry, constantly on the phone. Most people here have spoke to them if they've done any business with me. Jackie's here tonight. Teresa, my best friend. Fran and Dan Zach, they have been one of my first clients. Fran started with Lifespan, and that's how that kind of started. And then Susan Bray is my original business partner in Two Women in a Kitchen. We started this company in '98, incorporated in 2000, and it's been 25 years. And I don't think that I realized until just now, that is badass. 25 years! That's awesome! I had no idea that this was gonna be my life. Really, none. It just happened. We were literally standing in a kitchen. Someone asked, "What's your name?" Susan pops off, Two Women in a Kitchen, and that was it. We just kept going, never looked back. And that's how that happened. I love that that happened that way too. I don't know what else to say here because I'm really freaking out. I do want to recognize the beautiful community in Hamilton. I think that when I first came to this area, the acceptance and the support that I've received from 1,000 different collaborations with a lot of different community members helped build a lot of the confidence in our company. I think that's very vital. I think it's important that we give back to this community and that we support each other in every aspect of that way. I think when you come here and you're trying to build something and you feel the support, it makes it 1,000 times easier. And I don't think I ever got that anywhere else but probably in this town. And that is a wonderful thing. Aglameses, I started buying ice cream for you when I was 21 years old. You guys make a cinnamon ice cream that is to die for. I saw those shops and the warehouse and all of that. I used to drive down and just get it. So I was very happy to see you come here. Wonderful addition to the community here. Also, take a minute to thank my family and friends. They have always supported me. Without them, wouldn't be here again. This highs, lows. It's been a really rough few years. Again, COVID was a huge blow to our industry, but the ability to kind of change and grow and watch my clients and the family and support that I felt from here, even though we had to change our business program, it kept me going, and that was an awesome, just the drive, I'm thankful, grateful, can't even say much more. And I'm not going to, because, hey, that's it. I won. It's mine. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Very well done. Back to Dan.
Congratulations, Kirsten. So well deserved. Overall, 2024 was a more challenging year in which we had to overcome some obstacles in order and work harder to achieve. We did miss some of our goals this past year, but we continued to connect, engage, and grow by contributing to our members' success. We made valuable connections, assisted in plans for success, helped strategize, assisted in securing funding for projects, worked with language translation, visas, HR, and provided structure and support for nonprofits and their events. Most of all, through our back office operation, we have enabled our members to ride the wave of search engine optimization, which is huge. With social media having 1.3 million impressions on Facebook alone, and a newsletter that goes out to over 5,000 people several times per month, and our website had 183,000 visits this past year. Our email sends, mostly through Constant Contact, was over 80,000 with an open rate of 42%. That is at least 5% above the norm. One pleasant surprise is Coffee and Conversations, a bi-monthly Zoom meeting also on Facebook Live, and each time we do it, it reaches an audience between 400 and 500 people. In addition, we advocate on behalf of the interests of the business community on issues such as insurance mandates, immigration, minimum wage and tipping, controlled substances in the workplace, and most recently, Amtrak. By the way, Councilman Michael Ryan, would you please stand? Letters of support are needed for Amtrak. We need you as local employers to submit letters of support to our City Council, and Michael will be glad to assist you with that. Thank you, Michael, for taking the lead on this. So in other words, this year was pretty much business as usual. However, I do want to touch on a couple highlights. Membership. Sometimes we lose members and we have to drop them, but we hate to see them go. But often it's for reasons out of our control. And we did lose some members in 2024, but we gained 132 new members in 2024. With a net gain of nearly 90 members, our membership is currently at 715. This evening, I want to mention just a few of the many initiatives that have been instrumental in forming and proven to be a huge benefit to the success of our business community. It is only by working collaboratively with partners that we facilitate these amazing programs. First of all, the LINKS program. A partnership with John Gaduli and the Community Foundation has implemented 2 cohorts of nearly 30 visionary thinkers. These influential leaders have been connected through opportunities to develop relationships of trust, and these intimate conversations have opened doors to some of the most amazing opportunities and created sincere and honest discussions to address some of our community's biggest challenges. The outcomes so far have been beyond expectations, and real results of this program will be seen over the next several decades. The Arts Roundtable was a partnership between the Chamber and former director of Pyramid Hill, now known as We Art Hamilton, and facilitated by Sarah Templeton Wilson, Executive Director of Pyramid Hill Sculpture Park, and a Chamber board member. It is a collaboration between the many art entities in Hamilton. They are working together to promote the arts, but also to gather data to demonstrate their economic impact. The HR Roundtable has been a source of amazing information driven by August Plensler, HR and Safety Director of ThyssenKrupp Bilstein, and a Chamber board member. These are interactive conversations regarding workforce issues across industries. The discussions are about workforce attraction, development, retention, and even talent sharing across industries and competitive lines. Hamilton Amusement and Hospitality, better known as HaHa, facilitated by Tyler McCleary from Tano, was started to create real connections and collaborations among the hospitality businesses. They share best practices and create the many collaborative efforts and promotions you see among our bars and restaurants. The Hamilton Merchants Association was an offshoot of the original Main Street Association and other entities to again share best practices and create real collaborations of understanding among our retail shops throughout Hamilton. Sherry Hoskins, owner of Pedals and Wicks and a Chamber board member, facilitates those discussions. The Manufacturers Focus Group, an exciting partnership with Daniel Catalano, President and CEO of TechSolve, and Anthony Seppi, Vice President of Alloy Growth Labs, and a Chamber board member, is a roundtable discussion of all things manufacturing, focusing on technology, supply chain, continuous improvement, smart factories, and an ever-growing list to be discussed. Also, working with Gino Di Giovanni from the Small Business Development Center, we referred 27 businesses and entrepreneurs to him in 18 months between 2022 and 2023. In 2024, we referred 18. 7 of those he is currently working with, and those 7 have received loans, capital injections close to $3 million. The Lonely Entrepreneur, an online platform of nearly 2,000 learning modules for starting, growing, and running a business. The platform is free through the Chamber and a partnership with the Hamilton Community Foundation, who provided the initial funds to launch the program. 37 entrepreneurs and businesses have utilized the platform, and due to a recent grant, we will continue to grow the program's participation. The entrepreneurs in the group have been surveyed, and those participants, 78% created new jobs, 83% gained new customers, 92% established business plans, 88% defined their market or its target audience, 73% increased their revenue, 90% increased their profits, and 61% obtained new or additional funding. Through collaborative efforts and working with our partners, we've had outcomes way beyond what we could have achieved on our own. At this time, I want to mention one of our major partners whose support is amazing, and we value this relationship with the highest regard. Thank you to the City of Hamilton for your support of the Chamber and continuing to make this city a place where businesses and people want to be. Our message to our members is always about building meaningful relationships and working collaboratively. We live it every day. Speaking of that, would the Chamber staff please stand? Everyone, please. You are looking at the best of the best in our industry and in our community. Their sincerity and commitment to the success of our members, along with years of proven performance, shows they are, in my opinion, the best Chamber staff in the region. Every day, they handhold, encourage, and nudge our businesses to strive for success, and they provide the connections and resources needed to succeed. This is my 8th year as Chamber President and CEO of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and I continue to be incredibly proud and honored to represent this organization and to be a Hamiltonian. Thank you. Okay, next we move to another exciting recognition. Citizen of the Year is an award to recognize an individual who made a special mark on the city in 2024 and did so in a way that transcends their everyday job. What amazes me as we recognize past recipients is the humility with which they have done their work to make a difference. Before we recognize this year's recipient, I want to recognize past recipients. If you could stand as I call your name, and please hold your applause until the end. Previous Citizens of the Year in attendance tonight are Kathy Klink, Brad Baker, Neil Cohen, and Taylor Stone Welch. Once again, I want to bring up our special guest, Congressman Warren Davidson, who will do the honors.
Hey, just a point of personal privilege here. Dan came in shortly after I came into Congress. It's hard to believe I've been doing this just over 8 years. And you guys have seen the difference in Hamilton. And it certainly isn't just one chamber president or one city manager or one mayor or one city council person. This community has really come together to do a lot of great things. And I think it's amazing. You listen to Citizens of the Year, Small Business People of the Year, but you know the people that, whether they've run for office and serve on school board or city council, or they've just been really engaged in the community, it really is neat to see to come together. So I'm going to just take this little challenge coin we give out to people. I'm going to give it to Dan, but it really is just a recognition of the great accomplishment that Hamilton is doing, and thanks for allowing me to celebrate with you. So, without further ado, let's recognize not Tony Stark, David Stark. Originally from Nashville, Tennessee, David Stark was a high school all-state and collegiate academic All-American basketball player. Pretty talented guy. He earned his bachelor's degree in religion and then 3 master's degrees at the same time, including 2 from Nazarene Theological Seminary in Kansas City and 1 in organizational leadership from Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington. Postponing adulthood for as long as he could, he then pursued his PhD from the University of Manchester in England. David spent 10 years as a high school history teacher and coach at private schools in Kansas City and then in Cincinnati. Although not an artist himself, David has served as the Director of Operations for ArtSpace Hamilton Loss in the Strauss Gallery and ArtSpace since 2018. David has said that his move to Hamilton was the start of his own revitalization. He was enticed by the optimistic momentum that he felt in the community, and he felt welcome to be involved and to help make Hamilton the best place it can be. David has been incredibly involved in local civic organizations and causes, including Hamilton's 17-strong advisory board and executive committee, Hamilton's Charter Review Commission, We Art Hamilton, Christian's Corn Stand Jam for mental health awareness, Keep Hamilton Afloat, Hamilton Juneteenth celebration, and the upcoming Hamilton Black History Month Gala. He's also worked to support several past and current initiatives like Alive After 5, Chalk It Up Hamilton, Inside Out's Shift Event, and the Golf Classic, Hamilton Pride, Hamilton Hispanic Festival, Operation Pumpkin, the 17 Strong Celebration Breakfast, and the inaugural Hamilton Neighborhood Summit. And there's probably some more. In 2024, David was one of the organizers of the Hamilton Hurricane Helene Relief Concert, which helped raise funds through the arts. He also brought awareness to a situation involving Miami Conservancy District's increased awareness for property owners. And frankly, he's one of the champions that brought my attention to it and many others, including Joel Lauer and a lot of people in the community. This is something that really would disrupt a lot of the investment along the entire Miami River. Lots of communities have done things. I don't know anybody that's done more than Hamilton, and right here at Spooky Nook, what a dramatic change. And David was one of the people shouting loudly, you have to pay attention to this. And he really has made a difference there. He shared resources and links that made sure people who may not have had a full understanding of the impact were able to learn more about it, to become well educated on it. And then he led a grassroots movement to ask that the Miami Conservancy District reconsider their assessment. And a pause was put on the assessment. The Miami Conservancy District Board is now considering how it will move forward. Bad policy delayed is better than bad policy implemented, but bad policy turned off is really good, so we're rooting for that outcome. So thank you, David, for all your work and your engagement in the community. Now please turn your attention to the screens for a brief video about David.
I would describe David as energetic, fun, but very determined, pretty much how he's been since he was about 4 years old.
He is passionate. If he's given a cause, he's going to take it from A to Z with not only passion, but with a lot of effort. And he's not going to stop until he sees it done.
I feel like he has his heart in the right place, and he's only getting started. I feel like we've only seen the brink of potential that he has and what he can do for the city.
If there's a cause and you can get David on your team, you're already winning.
We were looking for a little bit more pizzazz for the Hamilton Juneteenth celebration. This was going to be the first year where it was at Markham Park. So we had a lot of space to fill. From that day forward, we were just kind of like able to reach out to one another.
Okay, what is David not involved in?
I mean, he's everywhere. You can't miss him, obviously.
Finds himself everywhere and doing everything.
Any kind of parade, community event, any kind of special event in town, he's always there, front and center.
David brought us Xander, right? I think David had something to do with our local mascot, if you will, Xander.
I don't think I remember anybody in such a short period of time living here that's gotten as involved as David has. I'd say he's an advocate for just about anybody you can think of in the city.
He's an advocate for our carnivore pizza, that's for sure. Anytime he eats one, he's posting about it or telling people about it.
He is an advocate, he is a supporter, and I would say in the last year, he even just really put himself out there to be a voice in issues that were difficult.
David really stood in front of the citizens of Hamilton to bring awareness to what the MCD assessment was and how it could affect not just those in downtown Hamilton, but in the neighborhoods surrounding it.
There was a lot of information that was just beginning to unfold for people, and I think David, in his tenacity to do research and understand the cause, the problem, the issue, whatever. He was that person who was able to get in there and really find out what exactly is this and how does this affect us.
As things continue to change and evolve in our city and grow, having David there kind of at the forefront to help as a supporter, I think that's important. I think it's important to him.
For me, just genuinely speaking, David all around is a great guy. He loves Hamilton and he loves what's happening in Hamilton.
And I feel like he is genuine, and he's only shown us a little bit about what David can do. And I think he's only going to show us more and more as the years go on. David is a wonderful melding of both our mother and our father, who truly to the most generous, giving, kind people who also had an eye for those who maybe needed a friend and a supporter. And there's a lot of things you could say about David, but the one that could make me tear up is seeing that attribute displayed in him, where he is a friend. So, as the much older sister, I am just extremely proud of my little brother.
David, please come on up and let us recognize David. Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Wow. Well, thank you, everyone. Let me just begin by saying I'm very relieved to be here tonight. Forgive me if I appear a little flushed, but at least we know my special microphone is working. All right, now listen, I know it's late tonight, but I'm going to ask y'all for a few minutes. This is like the biggest night of my life, so I'm going to ask each of y'all to stay with me just a little while longer. We're going to have a little fun with this, all right? Y'all going to stay with me tonight? All right, y'all. Thank you for that. Let's go. Thank you to Dan Bates and the entire Chamber of Commerce team for this fabulous event. Thank you to Sam Byler and Spooky Nook Sports at Champion Mill for being our host tonight. Congratulations to Kirsten. Thank you, Randy, for those good words. Thank you to every person, all my many friends, both real-life friends and even some of my online friends who may have nominated me for this award. Thank you to everyone who appeared in that wonderful video we just saw. I watch a lot of TV Hamilton content. I think that might be the best TV Hamilton production in history of the network. So looking forward to Steve Colwell taking us all into 4K soon. That's going to be nice. And I want to thank everyone who is here tonight and enjoying this wonderful moment with me. It's true, if you guys were looking for somebody who was going to play it cool, calm, and collected about receiving this award, I am not your guy. I have been on cloud nine for about the last 6 weeks, and I want to tell you why. Indeed, for somebody who's not even from here, born and raised in Nashville, who literally tagged along with his big sister to arrive here in the first place, it's a pretty incredible honor to think that my name is now going to appear on a list of Hamilton history somewhere with so many notable and in some case high-rolling Hamiltonians that I have long respected and admired. I'm thinking now of several people, including Bill and Harry Wilkes, Mr. and Mrs. Carruthers, Frank Fearman, historian Jim Blount, Jason and Tammy Snyder, Mayor Don Ryan, architect Mike Dingledine, my wonderful mentor and friend from 17 Strong, Kathy Klink, my pinball and pizza mentor, Brad Baker. We can't forget that great businessman and generous giver, Neil Cohen, and my friend, last year's recipient, who not only is behind the Pride Initiative, but also designed my favorite Street Spark mural, Taking Flight, Mr. Taylor Welch. Again, thank you all for what you've meant to me. I'm honored to join your company. But if I'm being honest, the real honor of this is not this beautiful trophy, which, I'm going to just put where I see it every single day. The deeper honor of this is something that was actually conferred onto me by y'all some time ago. As we, a still united people of Hamilton, continue to claim our seat at the table to ensure that the results and implementation of the Stantec study by the Miami Conservancy District eventually lands on an option for spreading the burden of this flood protection cost like every single other of the 11 conservancy districts in the state of Ohio, in a more fair and equitable solution across all the hundreds of thousands of parcels in the district, and not just those whose lands or properties were touched 100 years ago. I want to reflect now on how that moment, our moment in Hamilton history, first began. I remember it was the time of that eclipse. Remember the eclipse we had earlier this year? Over 10,000 people gathered in Markham Park. And that was right around the time that I had gotten word in process that our own Hamilton revitalization was being threatened by a new sort of eclipse that could stop us in its tracks. Sure, I had a couple t-shirts made. A few of my friends and I went out and got petitions signed. But it was you sun-gazing citizens of Hamilton, who signed those petitions. It was you, people like my best friend, Arnita Gunn, and many others, there she is, who normalized and legitimized our efforts by sharing it on your socials. People like you, Todd Fowler of the Butler County Hub and the Hamilton, Ohio News and Events Facebook page. My friend Todd Rice of the New Hamilton West Group, and Adam Markham of Good News Hamilton, who allowed that community-centric, albeit somewhat controversial content onto their platforms. And it was you, the people of Hamilton, who clicked that thumbs up button, who shared who hit that heart button. Some gave the wow face. Many commented. In fact, I remember when I first began to make those statements, some of my earliest and first defenders, not just of the argument, but even on a personal level, were members of our own Hamilton City Council. You guys fought ferociously for us on that issue, and we know we're not done yet. Thank you all. Keep up that great work. It was you, the people of Hamilton, the small business owners, who came to those protest meetings, those rallies, who took media questions, who participated in those special sessions down at City Hall. That was y'all. It was you, the rock stars and artists and musicians, who put on clandestine rooftop concerts and who held a performance at Municipal Brew Works with Jim Goodman in our letter writing night. It was you who wrote 1,500 exemption letters and wrote Congressman Davidson and all our other leaders. I may have come up with a t-shirt and a slogan, but it was y'all who kept Hamilton afloat. And it's y'all who are going to keep our revitalization going stronger and higher than ever before. I'm honored to have played a part in that conversation with y'all. Thank you very much for that. Now, I know it's early tonight, and I would love nothing more than to spend the next 2 hours up here talking about the 5 things I love about each person in the room. Dan, I don't think I can get away with that tonight, but there are some people that I simply must acknowledge. First of all the many artists of ArtSpace Hamilton Lofts who live, work, play, and create right there in the heart of Hamilton at 222 High Street. Y'all are the rock stars of the city, and you're part of my family. By the way, remember when the siding came down at ArtSpace about 10 years ago? Here, May 16th, we're going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary of ArtSpace being open for residency. On that point, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our exceptional gallery docent team, beginning with my good friend, our property manager, and our gallery manager, Jay Kidd, followed by Lucas Lacer, Chris Quay, Anthony Donnelly, Christy Iwema Kidd, Kat Steele, and Joni Struble. I also want to thank some friends who are here at the table. Actually, one of them, my good friend, give us a wave, Josh, you're already up here with me, videographer extraordinaire. He sure makes ArtSpace look good and anything else he touches. Thank you for being here, Josh. My other best friend, Logan Walton, is here. Logan, give us a wave. There he is. And now, folks, we have a very special VIP with us today, my friend from Bloomington, Indiana, Mr. Amro Kamel. Now, you may not recognize that name, but you might have heard a little something about the big-time project that his Spectrum Investment Group and some of his partners at the Acumen Group are very soon to be breaking ground on, the coming municipal hotel. Now, there's going to be a season of inconvenience during construction, and we're all going to remember to support the brewery during that time, but in a few short years, we're going to have our own brewery hotel, a $65 million investment into the heart of our downtown. I think that deserves a little recognition. Amro, would you please stand and give your city a toast? Lastly, I also want to thank some members of my family who are also here tonight. Believe it or not, my beloved big sister Sarah is not here tonight. What's that about? Apparently she pulled her back. I think she's just a little jealous, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm not Sarah's brother anymore. I'm Sarah's Citizen of the Year brother. That'll be my new title. I also want to thank my brother-in-law, Dave Lanningham. We've been through a lot together. I love that guy. Dave, you are as clutch in the game of life as you are on the big putts. Thank you very much. My beautiful niece, Maria, is here tonight. You know, one day that sign on High Street might not say Sarah's house. It might say Maria's mansion. That would be a good move, I think, for us all. And some very special, well, the VIPs of my life, my father and Candy, my bonus mother are here tonight all the way from Nashville. My father, John Stark, is a driven, determined, self-made, generous, and compassionate man. There's so much I wish I could say today, but Daddy, I share in this payday with you. Thank you for everything in my life. And Candy, let me just say, it's not very often that somebody enters a family and immediately becomes the MVP of the family, but you pulled it off, babe, and we're so happy to have you. I do want to take one more moment, and I want to acknowledge some of my dearly departed family members who are no longer here. My wonderful, ever-loving mother, Marilyn Stark. I love you more, Mama. I love you more. And my legendary big bro, number 5, John Stark, Team Stark Forever, and all our friends, his friends in Clearwater, Florida. Lastly, but not least, y'all know I got to give an acknowledgement to my smoking hot, tall, wonderful girlfriend, Allie Marshall. Boy, she's got a heart of gold, too. Allie, this is just the start for us. I can't wait for everything we're going to do in this life together. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being with me, baby. Now, friends, I do want to conclude with this, and it's a word of encouragement. I hope we'll all receive it today. As I told Michael Pittman of Journal News, when I first moved to Hamilton about 10 years ago, it was right around the time, though the vision had been in place for a while, of the first fruits of the city's revitalization. What I didn't know then, and I've only come to learn recently, is that that was also the beginning of my own personal revitalization. When we talk about Hamilton revitalization, I'm beginning to understand that it's not just the work that we citizens engaged do to make this historic city shine all the more brighter. That phrase can also, if you throw yourself into it, can be meant to describe the revitalizing work that meaningful civic participation can do in you if you give yourself to it. So whether you've not been engaged before or maybe you've done a lot, if you're looking for a way for 2025 to be your best year yet, yeah, sure, lay off the donuts and stay in the gym. But I'm going to encourage you to throw yourself in to what it means to truly, civically participate in something we is greater than me, bigger than yourself. Trust me, folks, it has worked for me. It'll work for you. To invest in Hamilton is an investment into yourself, and it's an investment that will pay dividends over and over and over again. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Sincerely, thank you very much, and good night.
Congratulations, David. We're wrapping up our event this evening. I want to once again give special thanks to our event sponsor, Ohio Credit Union. Thanks to our presenting sponsors, Mercy Health, Fairfield Hospital, Molson Coors Beverage Company, Spooky Nook Sports Champion Mill, ThyssenKrupp Bilstein of America. And thanks to our sponsors, Butler Tech, First Financial Bank, LCNB National Bank, TechSolve, U.S. Bank. Thanks to our production sponsor, TEC Services, and also special thanks to TV Hamilton, Pawnee Water, and Inspiration Studios. As we close, and I thank you all for joining us tonight, you are welcome to move downstairs to Municipal Brew Works, the Hydraulic Bar, and the retail shops for our after party. Thank you and have a good evening.